In this video we will be looking at the answers of a quadratic equation and coming up with the equation itself from the answers. That'll give you a little bit of insight how quadratic equations work. If you haven't already, please take a second and subscribe to this channel. And thank you for watching. Let's begin now on MathCat. 3, 2, 1. If you are given the answers to a quadratic equation, like x equals 11 and x equals minus 1, and you are asked to find the quadratic equation, you could create your factors from the answers. In other words, x equals 11 came from x minus 11 equals 0, and x equals minus 1 came from x plus 1 equals 0. And then using these two factors, you could multiply them together and get the quadratic equation. X minus 11 times x plus 1, multiply, minus 11x plus 1x minus 11 equals 0. And then combine like terms. And this is the quadratic equation that has these two answers. I'm going to show you how to go directly from these answers to the quadratic equation without having to do the multiplication. Let's look at the general form of the quadratic equation. ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. How did we get negative 11 for c given these two answers? And it's fairly easy to see. If you multiply 11 times negative 1, you're going to get negative 11 for c. So to get c, we take the product of the two answers. How did we get to negative 10 for b? Given that 11 minus 1 is positive 10, how did we get to negative 10? And the answer is you take the sum of the two answers and the opposite of it. So b equals the opposite of sum. So given these two facts, we can go directly from the answer to the quadratic equation. Suppose the answers to our quadratic equation were x equals 2 and x equals minus 3, and we were asked to find the quadratic equation. Given this shortcut, c equals the product of the answers and b equals the opposite of the sum, let's find the sum of these two numbers. And 2 plus minus 3 is minus 1, and the opposite of the sum is plus 1. And then the product of these two numbers, 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. So given this number and this number, let's write the quadratic equation. X squared, opposite of the sum, plus 1x is b, and the product is minus 6. And that's our quadratic equation. Now we could factor this. X plus 3 times x minus 2 equals 0. Set each factor equal to 0. And the answer to this is minus 3. And the answer to this is 2. So you can see that we've gotten the right quadratic equation simply by finding the opposite of the sum and the product of the two answers. Suppose the answers to our quadratic equation were x equals 1/3 and x equals negative 1. The sum of these two numbers is minus 2/3, and the opposite of the sum is positive 2/3. The product of these two numbers is negative 1/3. Given this number and this number, we can write our quadratic equation. X squared plus 2/3 x minus 1/3 equals 0. And to check that, we can factor this, set each factor equal to 0, and we're right back to our answers. That's how you can go directly from the answers to the quadratic equation.